Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And it is currently 6:50 p.m. It's kind of late, and I'm still drinking my coffee. This coffee is so full. I haven't even had that much of it today. And I'm trying to get some stuff done around the house. So I thought I would jump on here really quick and read some meditations. Tonight I go to emotional support, that too. An emotional sobriety meeting with my good Judy Tanya. And it's just like such an unbelievable meeting. And it's about, like people come and they share their stories about, it's usually people that have long-term sobriety, and they share their stories about specifically emotional sobriety, which is who are we once we put the drug and the alcohol down, like who are we inside? How are we treating people? What lives are we living? Are we continuing to live lives of, honesty and open-mindedness and willingness? And, are we, do we have a spiritual foundation? And how are we connected to the people around us in the world? And are we being of service to others? And that's a life of emotional sobriety, And there was a long period of my sobriety. I've talked about this on my vlogs extensively and over here. There was 4 years where I didn't go to meetings at all. And I was completely disconnected. And I know there are people out there that don't need meetings to stay sober and all of that, but for me, it's something that I do need. It keeps me very connected. I continue to work on issues. I continue to take inventory of my life, be of service to others in recovery, and give back what was so freely given to me. And so it's important for me to be part of something and to be connected. The people that I look up to and I respect in recovery that have 30, 40, even 50 years of sobriety are people that stay in the middle. And when I came back into meetings after those 4 years, I heard somebody share that it's hard to fall off the wagon when you're sitting in the middle of it. And today I make sure that I'm sitting in the middle of the wagon. It's really important for me to, I have a lot of social anxiety. I get very nervous, but it's important for me to go up to people and introduce myself and meet people in recovery and have a strong, support network around me of people that are not just sober, but have emotional sobriety, that have lives that I look up to and I think, God, I want that life, And so that's important for me. And, those 4 years of my life were some of the darkest years ever. I never said that I didn't need to go to meetings. I just walked away from meetings. And we kind of have the saying in recovery that it's hard to back away from one meeting. And I was only going to one meeting a week. Today I don't. I go to about 4 meetings a week, 3 or 4 meetings a week, depending on the week. But, and I'm very active with my sponsor, and I participate in meetings and service work and things like that. And back then, I just wasn't doing any of that. I had a sponsor, but I didn't really talk to him regularly. I wasn't really sharing or participating in meetings when I did go. And then, I just stepped away. I just stopped going. And, my best friend Tanya would ask me on a regular basis. She would say, do you want to go to our home group this week, which was on Tuesday nights? And I would say, no, I know I need to, but it was fear. Fear kept me from going back for a long time, And my sponsor would call in and check on me about every 3 weeks, and he would say, Peter, we would love to see you back. We miss you. And I'd say, I know. And it really took me having kind of an emotional breakdown where I really didn't, my marriage was falling apart. Partly, my part in that was because I wasn't taking care of myself, emotionally and with my sobriety. I had literally no spiritual foundation. I wasn't using, okay, but I was a dry drunk and I was a dry addict, which means you just put the substance down, but you don't work on yourself at all. I was irritable, I was restless, I was discontent, I was full of resentment and anger and rage, and I had just a complete breakdown. I was standing right there in the kitchen. We had carpet at the time, and I wrote down, and it was in January. This was, I think, 8 years ago? 8 or 9 years ago. No. Yeah, 8 years ago. And I wrote down, it would have been 8 years ago because Alex and I have been together 12 and a half years. So I wrote down, vacuum the carpet, fold the laundry, and I don't even know what 3 or 4 was, but I got down to 3 or 4 making my list for the day, and I just lost it, and I just broke down and started bawling my eyes out and could not stop. And I literally did not know how to function anymore. I was like, I don't even know, how, I didn't even know how to function, you know? And there was a period where I would just come home at the end of the day and I would get into like a really warm coat and go sit on the front porch in the dead of winter in the cold, okay? And I would sit out there and I would play Scrabble on my phone and smoke one cigarette after another. And I'll never forget, my husband came to the door one day and I looked up at him and he just had this look in his eyes that just was like, he just didn't know what to do, you know? Like he looked so sad and so lost. And I'll never forget, he opened the door. I don't know why this makes me so sad. And he stood there for a second, and then he came over and he sat down next to me. And my husband always hated cigarette smoking. And he sat down next to me and he said, what can I do to make you feel better? And I said, there's nothing you can do. And I didn't even know, I didn't even really realize. Like, I look back and I can see myself sitting there and I was just so disconnected. It was like I was a zombie almost, you know? And I said, there's nothing that you can do. And he looked at me and he said, I can't continue to live like this and not feel like I can help my husband out. Like, I don't feel like I'm helping you, and I don't know what to do, and I can't continue to live like this. So you got to let me know what I can do. That was very, very shortly before I had like the total breakdown. So that day, standing in the kitchen, and I think this is where you have to be selfish in your recovery. I stood in that kitchen. God, I was going to read meditations today. I don't even know how I got into this story talking about this meeting tonight. And I sat in the kitchen, or I stood there in the kitchen, and I just looked at this list and I started bawling, and I lost it because I knew that I couldn't continue to go on and survive the way that I was. You know, it's like, it wasn't just about not using or not picking up. I was miserable. I was more miserable not using than I had been when I was using. And that's a really, really scary place to be when you're sober or dry, okay, and you don't really even have a desire to be here anymore. Like, that's a really scary place to be, you know? And it's like, I don't want to use, but I don't want to be here either. You know what I mean? Like, that's a scary place to be. And it wasn't even really that conscious to me, I think, looking back. It's like I had been somebody that had never had like those kind of, you know, take your life kind of feelings. I had never had those. And that was really just like one moment in my life that I had that. I don't know why. Maybe I'm genetically, I don't know, maybe not wired to have those feelings. My cousin and I have talked about that. Our mothers, both of them, had very strong feelings that way. But she and I never have really felt that way in our lives. And so, or I think she said she did a little bit maybe when she was in high school, but I really never did until that one moment. And even then, I don't think that's really how I felt. I think I just felt like I can't continue to live the way that I'm living. And I picked up the phone and I called my best friend, Tanya, and I said, will you take me to a meeting? And she started crying and she said, I've been praying for years for you to ask me that. And so she took me to a meeting that night. It was horribly snowing outside. My story always has so much to do with snow, you know? We went to this meeting and after the meeting, like, we went back to her house and I saw her husband. I mean, I had never stopped seeing Tanya, you know, through all that time, but I just wasn't going to meetings with her. And I said, I'm going to go to a noon meeting tomorrow. Will you go to this meeting with me? And she looked at me and she said, sweetie, she said, these 4 years that you haven't been going to meetings, I continue to go to meetings. So I don't need to go to 2 meetings tomorrow. But she was like, you go. I think it would be really great for you, you know? And I remember that night I was driving home and I was listening to a lead, and a lead is how we tell our story. We talk about what we were like, what happened, and what we are like now. That's when you share your lead, you share your story. And I was listening to a lead, and this woman said in that lead that I heard that night, she said that it's hard to fall off the wagon when you're sitting in the middle of it. And it so sat with me that I was like, I don't want to fall off the wagon ever again. Like, you know, like, I don't want to ever go back there. And I came home and I sat down with Alex, and I can see myself on the end of the bed, and I said, we need to talk. And he said, okay. And I don't think he knew what was going to come out of his mouth. And I said, I've been going out a lot. Like, we were going to bars all the time, and like, I was out at a bar like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I said to him, I'm not going out anymore for a while. And I said, I need to get reconnected to going to meetings and 12-step work. And I said, and there's only like 2 friends that were really that important to me. No, there were 3 friends, 3 girlfriends that I had met from going out that were important to me. And one was my friend Melissa, and the other 2 were friends of mine that I don't really see anymore. And I'll tell that in just a second. But anyway, I said to Alex, I'm going to start going back to meetings tomorrow. I'm going to start going every day. I'm going to start working actively with my sponsor. And I said, and I'm going to save myself and our marriage will get better and we'll have a great marriage, or I'm going to save myself and our marriage won't make it. But either way, I have to save myself. And he completely understood. And he said, I love you and I care about you and I want to be there as much as you need me. And I look back on that first year back, and it was kind of magical. I was like a newcomer, and it was interesting because like Alex and I had date night on Friday nights, and then Saturday nights he would go do things with his friends, and I went to a candlelight meeting that was at 10:30, and then I would go to Steak and Shake with my friends, and we would eat, burgers. This was before I was a vegetarian, eat burgers and stuff, and and then Sunday Alex and I would get brunch together and kind of hang around the house, and then I went to 11 a.m. meeting that was like a spiritual meeting, and then we would go to brunch. I would come home, and then we would hang out in the afternoon and have just, couple time, just watching movies or whatever. And then I would go to an 8 o'clock speaker meeting that night. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I was going to 2 meetings a day. I was going to a 12 and an 8 every single day. And I was going to about 14 meetings a week that first year back. And I felt so good, and it got me to where I'm at today. I did call 3 of my girlfriends that I had met from going out those 4 years, and I said, I'm not going out anymore. You really mean a lot to me, and I hope that we remain friends. One of them, the friendship ended like almost immediately because it's important for her to go out, and I'm not there to judge somebody or tell them what to do with their lives. Our lives just took completely different paths. The other one, she and I are still close. We talk on the phone and stuff, but I just don't see her very often. But she and her husband are very close with us, and every once in a while we'll see them. And the third one was my friend Melissa. And she said, I'm here for you whenever you need me. And she said, and because you're not going to go out anymore, I'm going to stay at home sometimes too with you. And our friendship went from like me just kind of casually knowing Melissa to her being one of the greatest friends I've ever had in my entire life. She doesn't drink by choice, not because she's an alcoholic. She just, when she was done with college, she's like, I just don't need to drink anymore. And so she and I always get Pepsis. And my husband will have a glass of wine and her husband will have a beer at a restaurant. And I'm so thankful for her. I'm so thankful for Melissa and my friend Tanya and my friend Valerie, and I just am so blessed to have a really fantastic support network of people that, a lot of people that you've never even heard of if you watch my vlogs, because they're people that are very, anonymous and don't want their lives talked about, and I have the most amazing sponsor in the entire world, and she is a mother, sister, friend to me. And if you have a sponsor and you don't think your sponsor is the best sponsor in the entire world, go get a different sponsor. And I just feel so full of grace and blessings on a daily basis. I wake up every single day and I say, thank you, God, for my life and my sobriety. I feel so incredibly blessed. So no, I guess this is a little bit of my story. I was going to read a meditation, but I don't think so. I think I'm just going to end there. I feel so grateful today. I just feel so grateful for my sobriety, and I'm so grateful for you guys, and I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.